back to our new video in which we are going to discuss about the Amazon Web Services AppStream, which is basically a fully managed service provided by Amazon Web Services Cloud. All right, so let's get started. We are going to understand the couple of things. To start with, we are going to start with what is AWS AppStream. Okay. So if you look at AppStream, it's basically a fully managed application streaming service provided by the Amazon Web Services, which allows you to stream the desktop applications directly from your cloud, and your users can access it through the service through any device such as your laptop, tablets, mobile phones. Okay. So this means that the access for the applications which are hosted on your cloud, you don't need to install them locally on your machine. Instead, your users can seamlessly access these services with a consistent experience across the different devices and the operating system. They don't need to install specifically for Linux or Windows and something like this, right? Because these are directly getting streamed into their browser itself. Now, the main thing you need to remember here is that AppStream requires the browser to be compatible with HTML5. Okay, that is the only requirement. And the main function of introducing AppStream was to take away the burden of managing and maintaining your traditional desktop applications for the individual devices, because there are multiple users you don't want to manage for individually. Now, instead, these desktop applications are basically hosted in the Amazon's highly scalable, reliable, and the secure infrastructure, allowing your users to directly access them anywhere with an internet connection. So the need to have the installed it on your machine is no longer required. You just need an internet connection and you can directly access these applications using the AWS AppStream. Now, what are the benefits of introducing this AWS AppStream? So very first thing is the cost efficiency. What this means is that you can significantly reduce the hardware costs, as powerful workstations are no longer required for the each user. Now, users can directly access this application on the with their lower end devices like their laptops, which is having a proportionate amount of resources. You don't need to have just purchase the high end laptops with a very high configuration like that. So this reduces your hardware costs. Because all the processing which is happening when you are running those services, those are happening in the cloud, infrastructure, basically the servers which are powering those services in the cloud itself, right? So your laptop doesn't need to have those kind of resources, but you should be able to access them within the browser itself. So that's why it reduces the overall cost and increases the efficiency in that way. The second thing is the flexible access. Now, AppStream enables the remote work scenarios, so it makes it easy for the employees to access the critical application from their home while traveling without posing any significant security risk, because that way you are actually managing the authorization and the security is already there, so they can access the application and those applications are securely running in your cloud infrastructure. So this allows you to run the critical applications even when the people are accessing that remotely while traveling like that. It also supports the bring your own device policies, providing access to the application from the personal devices as well. If you want that, you can make use bring your own devices as well. Okay, continuing on the benefits, the next thing is it increases the security. Now, centralizing the applications and the data in the cloud will enhance and reduce the risk of data loss or theft from the local devices, because these local devices are not so well protected. But if you are having all your data within the cloud in a centralized place and all your users are accessing the applications from there, this greatly increase, because you can emphasize certain policies and the restriction firewalls, those kind of things, which will help increase the security of your data, so the data loss and theft will be reduced as well. AWS implements robust security measures to protect your user data and the application integrity. So there are a number of things which are built into the AWS, which all can be utilized if you are using the AppStream for that purpose. Another benefit of using the AppStream is ease of management. With the AppStream, administrators can manage and update the application centrally. This simplifies the process of maintaining the software versions configuration across the multiple devices. So you no longer have to enforce or keep reaching out to your user saying them to upgrade the version, because now it's centralized. The administrators can directly enforce it in the, and then all the users which are logging in and accessing the app stream will be using the updated version. So you can guarantee as well. This reduces the overhead of management for the administrators and increases the compliances for the organization as well. Next thing is the scalability. Now AppStream automatically it can scale out the resources based on the user demand. So more the number of users accessing the application, the number of servers will automatically scale out. That way it ensures that the user experience is consistently better, with consistent better performance, and even during the peak usage time. So you won't have the bottlenecks, downgrades like that, and the users can continue to experience, because the app stream itself is getting scaled out as more users are trying to access it. Okay, so these are the major benefits which AppStream brings when you start using the AppStream for accessing your application using the AppStream. Now, if we talk about the use cases for the AWS app streams, this is important to understand where all you can use this app stream, in which cases it's beneficial to use the app stream. So very first thing is the remote work. Now, the ability to stream the applications to remote users is particularly valuable in the organizations which are having distributed teams and remote employees. So suppose your employees are geographically distributed and they all have to access the application, the data in such a way, in a secured manner. So it might be challenging if to control that data flow across the multiple geographies like that. But if you are centralizing it through AppStream, then your employees will be able to access your essential business application regardless of their physical location, with same level of security and the rules being applied across the different geographies that we are having. So remote work will be greatly simplified if you are using AppStream, and the business critical applications will be available to the user. The second thing is the education institution. So AppStream can be used by the for the education settings to provide users and educator access to the software applications needing for their courses. This eliminates the need of institutions to maintain the physical computer labs for specific applications. Now you no longer have to uh, install these application across the multiple desktops, manage it, and then your user accessing it. Rather, you can create these education institutes can use the app stream, and then your users can directly log in and access those using the app stream for the different application. That way, the cost wise it's also more beneficial, since the hardware cost is getting reduced and you are paying on what you use charges. So on demand charges will be there, so that way it's more optimized for the education institutions as well. Next is software development and testing. Developers can leverage the app stream to access development environments, IDEs, and testing tools without the need of powerful local machines. Now, this is very significant because as the you will see the project becomes more complicated and it grows over a period of time. You require more resources for running these testing tools, which can be greatly reduced with the help of AppStream, since all these machines will be running in the cloud and on demand basis. So the cost and maintenance and administration, all these work gets reduced because now they are running centralized manner, and that way it's much more beneficial to run. This allows the developers to work from anywhere while ensuring consistent development environments. So they do no longer have to face like certain test cases are running because the other machine was more powerful and it was able to run in a shorter period of time with less errors like that. So those kind of because it's a consistent now, because everyone is using the centralized manner with the app stream. The another advantage for the development and testing teams would be, suppose they have to access the databases using certain for running the queries, and all they want to access it. Normally this kind of access is restricted, but when you are doing it in the lower environments, then you can use the app stream and run the desktop application directly, and then you can access it within a secured environment. That way you don't have to open your databases to the external world. Only the restricted users who are within your network can access the databases as well. That way it's more sorted out as well. Okay, Now, moving on to the use cases. Next one is graphic intensive applications. So AppStream is well suited for the streaming of the graphic intensive applications like 3D modeling, rendering softwares. So these applications which are graphic intensive, this requires very high level of hardware configurations, and if you are having multiple users, then it can significantly become cumbersome to manage and provide everyone with that kind of hardware, right? So 3D modeling and rendering software, these can be also run within the cloud itself, and then the users can access it through the AppStream itself. Now users can run the resource intensive applications on low end devices, as well as the heavy lifting is done within the cloud, because the main servers which are powering those applications are running within the cloud itself, and it's just getting uh, stream across the user's laptop in the directly in their browser, so they are able to use it without worrying about the underlying hardware requirement for those applications. Okay. Next is training and workshops. So AppStream enables trainers to conduct the workshops and training sessions with consistent application across all the participants. This ensures that all the participants has the same level of application environment and the experience. This is particularly useful for these workshops because they can create pre-built infrastructure for performing these workshops, and then the users who are accessing it can have the same level of infrastructure available to them through AppStream, and they can directly practice using that AppStream. So these are the some of the use cases for the AWS AppStream. Okay, now let's talk about the architecture of the AWS AppStream. The architecture of AWS AppStream is designed to deliver the seamless and responsive application streaming experience. Very main purpose of AWS AppStream, as its name suggests, is the application streaming. Okay, this is what it does, and it follows a client server model where users interact with the applications through a lightweight client while all the processing happens on the server side. So just understand it like this, that the users are accessing the application just like they do in their local machine itself, just that in this case they are using a thin client, and the application is getting streamed across their machine. But whatever they are doing, whatever changes is happening within the application, the processing which is required to perform those changes are actually happening on the server side, which is located within the cloud, because the cloud servers are available on demand basis. So the until the time you are making those changes and the processing is happening, that will be charged to you, and rest of the times you don't need to worry about the cost, so the charges would be reduced. At the same time, the bigger infrastructure, more powerful infrastructure would be available to you, and you don't have to worry about the hardware maintenance and those things as well, and the security gets also improved, right? So now, what are the key components of the architecture of the AppStream? So very first thing is AppStream fleet. Now, what is this AppStream fleet? An AppStream fleet consists of instances that runs the applications and handle the streaming session for the users. You can configure the fleet to handle different application workloads and user demands. So these think of AppStream like the actual servers where your application is going to run, right? And not only the application, because the users are accessing, so they need to maintain the session which they get after authorization, right? So these session has to be maintained. So all these sessions and the processing actually happens on this fleet of AppStream servers which are running in the background, and you should be able to configure this fleet and handle the different application workload depending upon how many users and where they are accessing from. So you can easily handle that by increasing the size of this AppStream fleet like that. Okay, next is image builder. So administrator create a custom application image using the image builder. This image contains the software and the configurations needed for streaming application. So you can directly build this image, and then you can easily, with the help, once the image has been created, then you can easily create the software and the configuration which is required by your users, right? So they can directly access with the help of the image that you have created, and this AppStream fleet is going to run through that image builder that has been created for it. Next is AppStream client. AppStream client is basically a user access the application through their AppStream client, which is available for the various platforms like Windows, macOS, and mobile devices. The client communicates with the fleet using a streaming protocol. So basically, this client is located allows the end users to access through the different devices which they might be running, like on the Windows machine, macOS machines, mobile devices like that, right? So these client will allow these connections to be established with the help of a streaming protocol, and this is how they are able to connect to the application, which is their main goal. Okay. Next is authentication and access control. So this is very important from a security perspective, that AWS provides what AWS identity and access management, that is the IAM controls for the user access of the application. Administrators can manage the user entitlements and permission for specific applications. So you can have granular access of what all actions the user can perform across the app stream, and you can limit their usage and provide a more better control, finer control on these application, and have say on what they can and cannot do, and manage the authorizations and the access control for these users, right? So this all is handled with the help of AWS IAM service. So how does AppStream work? So the very first thing is the image presentation. To get started, the AWS AppStream, the administrators are first going to create a custom application image using the image builder, because this is how, think of this like a blueprint, right? You want to run your application, you need to have an image with all the configuration and the application itself. Now using that, you are going to prepare this AppStream fleet, right? So the very first thing is this image preparation. And image contains all the desired application and their configuration. This is how the server knows what application you are trying to run, and with what configuration those applications should be created. So this is the very first step when you are configuring AppStream, that you have to prepare the image. So image preparation is there. Then AppStream fleet comes into the picture. Once you have the image, okay, you have the blueprint of how to create this application. The AppStream fleet basically consists of instances that runs the application. So these are the actual servers which are actually running your application, and they are having the administrators can configure the fleet to meet the needs of the different users and application workload, right? So these are actual servers where your application is running, which you have created from the image. These fleets would be created from it. And another thing that this AppStream fleet does is it maintains the user sessions, right? So then you create these servers, and this allows the administrators to configure the fleets for the different user requirements and the application workload. So if suppose application requires higher amount of resources, then they can pick up the bigger servers to meet those kind of resources, so for the better functioning of the application. Okay. So the second one is your AppStream fleet, and the third one is authentication and access control, which we just discussed. It uses the AWS IAM to manage the user authentication and access to the application. Administrators can grant access to the specific users or the group based on their roles. So you can categorize, instead of just creating same set of permission again for each user, you can create the users inside the groups and provide group with the permission. And then whenever you are creating the AppStream, you can assign those users to that group, and they will have the similar access for accessing the AppStream. That is how you are able to manage the authentication and access control over the AppStream for your users, okay, using IAM. Now next is end user client. So user access application through AppStream client, which is installed on their device. Okay, the client establishes a connection with the AppStream fleet in the cloud. So basically this client is responsible for establishing the session with the user who are trying to access the application, right? And this is how it is able to stream those application within the end user browser for accessing the AppStream fleet application which they are running, like that. Okay, next is streaming protocol. So the client and the AppStream fleet communicating using a streaming protocol. User inputs such as mouse movements, keystrokes are basically sent to the fleets, and the screen updates are sent back to the client in the real time, right? So it basically, the streaming protocol allows you to capture all these the mouse movements, the keystrokes that you are entering in your browser itself. It's going to capture all these, and it's going to send that to the server which is running the application. And then when the screen updates happen because of those mouse changes and the keystrokes that you have sent, right, those are streamed back to your browser. And this is how you are able to access the application in your browser, right? So to summarize, there are 5 things. First, you are going to create the image. The second thing, then you are from that image you are going to create the fleet of the servers which is going to run the app stream. The third one is you are going to put the authentication and the access control in place. Then you are going to set up the end user client through which users are going to access. And lastly, you are going to use the streaming protocol, which is going to capture all your mouse movements and your keystrokes. And then to and fro this happens for accessing the application to the end client. Okay, now what are the differentiating AppStream offerings right now which are available from AWS? So Amazon AppStream 2.0 standard mode is there. The standard mode of AppStream 2.0 is designed for most use cases. It allows you to stream application to multiple users. For each instance in the fleet can support multiple user sessions. Okay, so most of the time you will see that this AppStream 2.0 the use case should fall under it, and this will allow you to stream the application to multiple users, and each instance in the fleet can support multiple user sessions, right? So for most of the users, this Amazon AppStream 2.0 standard mode should be fine enough to meet their requirements. Next is Amazon AppStream 2.0 always on mode. Now always on mode is an enhancement that reduces the application launch time. So suppose when initially the user connects, the session has to be established, the server has to be created from the image, and those time are associated with the AppStream. If you want to reduce that overhead and you want to have faster access, then in that case you can use this enhancement mode, which is going to reduce your application launch time. It keeps the instances in fleet running even when they are not in use. Okay, so ensuring the instant access to the application when the users logs in. Now this is certainly for the advantages that you will have less amount of time which is required to access the app stream, because now it don't have to create the server, set up the configuration, set up the client. It is always established whether or not you are using or not. But obviously the downside would be that since it's always running in the background, it will be going to charge you on that basis. But then it reduces the time to speed, so spin up the thing, so the access time gets reduced. Okay, the next is fleet auto scaling. So AppStream supports the fleet auto scaling, which automatically adjusts the number of instances in the fleet based on demand. What this auto scaling is useful is, suppose I have unpredicted user demand, that is more number of users can join in at a given point in time, and I cannot certainly say that these many users would be available. But what I want is that my application should be streamed across all the users and they should not have any issues. So what AWS AppStream can do is it can automatically configure itself based upon the number of user sessions which are getting established, and then it will scale out your fleet servers. More the number of servers would be there, the higher the number of users can be able to access it. So depending upon your demand basis, it can automatically scale out. Now this ensures the optimal performance during the high usage periods while reducing cost during low usage periods. So because suppose now after 1 hour my number of users start decreasing, so again, this AppStream will automatically detect that the users have reduced now, and it will start reducing the fleet servers. That way you will not have the higher cost associated, because now less number of servers are running. So depending upon your usage, it's going to adjust according to your demand, and thus optimizing the way that the users are going to access the AppStream. And you are only going to pay when the user, depending upon your user demand, which is actually beneficial. Okay, so what is the conclusion? So if we look at the overall conclusion with the discussion that we had today, so AWS AppStream is a powerful service that revolutionizes how applications are delivered to the end users. It offers the numerous benefits, including cost efficiency, flexibility, enhanced security. We discuss about each of these aspects in great detail in the in this topic. And with its scalable architecture and diverse offering, AppStream is valuable solution for various industries and use cases, from remote work scenarios to graphic intensive applications to accessing database from the security perspective to running some application which requires higher amount of hardware. So all these use cases fits into the AppStream, and the organizations out there can leverage the AppStream for accessing these application directly from the cloud itself without worrying about the hardware cost and the associated processing with it. Okay. That is something which is happening in the cloud, so it's in a centralized place, thus increasing the security as well. Okay, so that's all for the theoretical part of the AWS AppStream. Later we are going to show this practically, how to set up the AppStream, how to access the application, and how we can make the use as an end user as well. So if you have not subscribed to our channel yet, do subscribe to our channel for more such videos and staying up to date with the DevOps practices. Thanks everyone. That's all for this video. See you in next video. Thank you.